Welcome back to The Charismatic Voice. Today we're going to be diving into one of the most celebrated female vocalists of our era, Céline Dion. I have heard some of her music before, particularly in Titanic. I was obsessed with that as a middle schooler. And I'm excited today not only to hear a song that is new to me, but also to discuss the rare neurological disorder that she was diagnosed with and how it might affect her singing in the future. Let's get to it.
I get wings to fly. Oh, I'm alive. Yeah.
Ooh, pew, 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 pew.
When you call on me, when I hear you breathe, I get wings to fly. I feel that I'm alive.
I love we have almost an 80s vibe that's in here going at the same time with steampunk visuals. And then of course I think we've got Central Park here with awesome plane flying through. There's so many fun visuals going with this music and it feels so uplifting. But to begin it all, we had this just beautiful opening with her voice. And I want to talk about some of the things that I think people find so immediately appealing or sometimes even polarizing about her sound. Back to the beginning.
I get wings to fly. Oh, I'm alive.
In just this intro, we have so many wonderful examples of fantastic vocalism. First, one of the things I think is really identifiable about her sound, part of what makes it unique, is there is a certain almost like a little tiny nasality, just like a little coloration of the sound. It's almost like an R coloration at times, and it's just part of her distinct tonal quality. It's so important, I think, that we don't say, oh, that's not like the round bell-like sound that I want prima donna from opera to have. It's important, I think, that we say, I instantly can identify that that is Celine Dion. Signature sounds like this make careers. It's a difference between having a generic voice and an iconic voice. And it's just in this little tonal coloring. She has other elements to her voice as well that are very easily identifiable. But that one aspect, I think, is really important to instantly hook into and say, wow, I love that she's embraced this unique tone quality. One of the other things I love about her voice is the way she can go super airy and light or bring it into a lot more focus, a lot more, brings in essentially a little bit more of a pressed sound, which not saying that that's bad vocally, okay? Just to be really clear, I think she has amazing technique. She can go between essentially this really open kind of area or sound that's a little bit more gathered. Initially, it's this beautiful airy quality. It even has a little airiness in the onset in there. And the lightness makes those runs easier to do.
I get wings to fly.
Very airy still.
Oh,
Switching
I'm alive.
to a lot more condensed right there. That's definitely, there's essentially like a spectrum that singers can learn how to sing, where it's a lot more airy, a lot more pressed, and all of this stuff in between. And I think that the most successful singers have learned how to bring both qualities into their voice. Sometimes you can achieve that by working in different registers, FYI, but you can achieve that within the same register as well. One more time. There's like a certain Whitney Houston vibe there too.
Oh, I'm alive.
I like the earthiness that is in her tone as well. This is a fun song. I can't get over that.
When you call on me, when I hear you breathe, I get wings to fly. I feel that I'm alive. When you look at me, I can touch the sky. I know that I'm alive.
This is so sweet. I think I'd read somewhere, I did a lot of reading before doing any sort of analysis today because we have a lot to talk about. But I think I remember reading that this had, I believe it was inspired by one of her children or after the birth of one of her children. It's just super sweet. Yeah, symbolizing rebirth and vitality. There's I like the way that this song could apply both to a child looking at you and this feeling of you're alive, and also to just a loved one. Like when a wonderful person, it might be your mom, it might be your partner, it might just be your best friend. When they look at you and they have that look, you feel like, yeah, this is what life is about. It's all about the personal connections.
I get wings to fly. I feel that I'm alive.
I love her fluidity and registers there.
When you look at me, I can touch the sky. I know that I'm when you bless the day.
So there were a couple moments in here where we have this sort of thicker sound when she's making a run, and then she'll go down low and actually add a little more air into it. And that's a great example of having that full spectrum of being in her chest voice at this point and having a sound that's much more gathered. And then she actually introduces air into that same register as she goes lower. Really, really awesome. I've also heard her essentially mixing into head voice in a couple other spots. I am using classical terminology for registers, by the way. We can talk about so many other ways to title registers, but let's do that in another video because we have a lot of other vocal technique to discuss today. I'm just going to go back right here and point out one of my favorite runs and the way she went from this really gathered to super breathy sound. I love the flow of that one. There. So by the time she got to the bottom, we could hear the air just flowing over it. But when she first starts at the top, it's got like a little, almost a hook into it.
When you bless the day, I just drift away. All my worries die.
It's an incredible balance.
That I'm alive. You've set my heart on fire.
Oh my gosh, that dress.
Made me a woman on clouds above.
I want to do a photo shoot in that dress. That dress looks amazing. Also, I'm thinking here like maternity photo shoot. I'm pregnant with number 2 right now. If you haven't heard, number 2 will come along soon, and this dress is inspiring me. Wow.
Made me a woman on clouds above. I couldn't get much higher. My spirit takes flight, 'cause I am alive. When you call on me.
We're getting into the meat of what a lot of people find so great about Céline Dion's voice. I mean, I think it's just all really good. So, but She's starting to go up into more of the higher belting, meaning that she's staying in a lower register and taking the pitch higher. This is going to put a lot more pressure on the muscles, though you can have some tilt in the thyroid cartilage to help relieve that pressure as well. So there are lots of ways that we can train for a belt to go higher and not be really exhausting. And she's just, you better believe that this woman has the training to really follow through on things with her voice. Uh, it has been horribly dampened by discovering that she has this autoimmune disorder, stiff person syndrome. And it's really, really rare. Okay. It's incredibly, incredibly rare. There's not tons of research out there about it. They don't know really where it comes from. Uh, but in reading more about it and how it's presented in the voice before, I'm honestly shocked that she's coming back to singing right now and just so impressed. She has so much drive. I'm blown away and really excited for her. So I know she canceled her tour in, I think it was 2023. Um, and there's a documentary that I'm planning to watch. I wanted to hear a little bit more of her music first, but I'm planning to watch that that talks more about the health complication that this presents. Essentially, there's going to be a lot of stiffness in the muscle and muscle spasms, but that sounds so tame compared to what the syndrome can cause. Like the spasms can be so bad that you break ribs. Can you imagine trying to breathe for singing when you have spasms that are breaking your ribs? Just no way. Uh, One of the other things that I'd read about, there was a really interesting study where stiff person syndrome essentially presented like spasmodic dysphonia at first, which is a condition that we do see a little bit more often in vocology. And it's also muscle spasms in the larynx, and it can make it just impossible for a person to even speak. So the idea of singing is really, really tough. In order for you to sing higher, especially if you're, let's talk about singing a belt higher, you need to have more tension in certain muscles. It's very, very coordinated. As you go higher, there's more of a stretch in the vocal folds. And uh, and the vocal folds also end up going wacka 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 much faster as you go higher. So more wacka wackas as you go higher, less as you go lower. Um, Concert A is 440 times per second to give you an impression of how many times your vocal folds go bull in order to make a sound. If you can imagine the precision that is needed for the muscles to be engaged for that to happen, having a spasm, like even just like the tiniest of spasm would totally destroy being able to sing a pitch. And then if you add to that any sort of emotional distress, there's lots of other complicating factors that can add to it that things like touring around the world would really, really compound. Uh, I'm just amazed, honestly, that she kept going as long as she did, and that she's finding a way to come back. I will talk a little bit about what some of the treatments are, but and also some complications, more complications that can come from this disease. But let's listen to some more music first.
Couldn't get much higher. My spirit takes flight. 'Cause I am alive. Oh, when you call on me, when I hear you breathe,
I love her ornamentation.
I feel that I'm alive. I am alive. When you reach for me, praising spirits rise. God knows that I'll be the.
I love the way she has these huge overarching phrases. Her voice is so full, yet super agile to be able to do all of these like extra runs and ornamentations. But even when she has the runs and ornamentations within this phrase, we have this incredible legato line over the top of it all. It just fills this space. It's you feel surrounded by her sound, and the sound is both really clear and full-bodied at the same time. Right, you have the option of having a more focused sound or air on top of it. Sometimes she's combining the two, which is so beautiful. Has so much balance in her tone. It I have to say, I think her technique is amazing. And there's no way that she would be moving into singing again after being diagnosed with stiff person syndrome. She would not be moving into singing again if she didn't have amazing technique and help to get through it. Let's go back one more time. Just enjoy with me the gorgeous line here.
I'm alive. I am alive.
Oh.
When you reach for me, God knows that I'll be the one standing by through good and through trying times. And it's only begun. I can't wait for the rest of my life.
Beautiful.
When you call,
Ooh, key shift up.
when you call on me.
Again, moving more and more into that high belt that we love so much in her voice. There's so much pressure for singers to belt higher and higher and higher. And again, you just have to keep in mind that vocal folds are having to work harder and harder for those high notes. I read an interview where she mentioned that in order to be able to sing some of the songs she was working on, she'd asked the band to essentially take it down a key or two. And I could see that really being helpful. And I hope that, as she's coming back, I hope she takes really good care of her voice. I actually have a lot of faith that she will, because I think as somebody who's had one of the longest and most successful shows in Vegas, woman has to know how to take care of her voice really, really well. So I'm sure she'll be listening and paying attention to her body. When you think about just the idea of something being stiff, keep in mind vibrating again, waka, 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 faster and faster and faster. If the muscles are stiff, one of the main identifying things in stiff person syndrome, muscles are stiff, they're not going to want to vibrate as easily. And it's not just these muscles, it's also muscles that are in the respiratory system. It's all over the body, really. But as far as affecting the voice, it's the respiratory system as well. So it's harder to take a deep breath. And you need a deep breath in order to be able to get the right pressure to help the vocal folds start vibrating. And then if they're going to vibrate faster, especially in a high belt where there's going to be additional pressure added in there, often you'll need, in order to get that sound first out, there's a thing called minimum pressure, essentially, a minimum air pressure that a person has to achieve over to start the phonation, to start the sound in the first place. And when you have stiffer vocal folds, or they're not as pliable for some reason or another, often it requires a lot more force to get that sound started. So that's one of the things that's probably the most concerning as she's moving forward, is when I'm initially starting that sound, can I find the ease in the top notes? And if she decides to lower a song or two at this point down a key, gosh, I would applaud her so much. I don't think we need to have them at exactly the key that she originally recorded them at. I'd want to see her do a great emotional performance that doesn't endanger her vocal health at all. And having to not add so much force in order to especially start, I know it could be very, very beneficial. But I know that she's also doing a lot of therapy. She's likely taking some medicine that might be an immunosuppressant, which is like scary for singers too. So there's so many different ways she can overcome this. I'm really impressed that she is overcoming it.
Through trying times, and it's only begun. I can't wait for the rest of my life.
Key change up. Oh gosh.
When you call on me, when you
vibes of the song, right? It's so happy and fulfilling, and recognizing that people help fill our lives with so much joy. This is beautiful. Thank you. Again, first time hearing it. I'm so grateful that she wrote this song.
I just drift away. All my worries gone. I know that I'm alive. Yeah. I get wings to fly. God knows that I'm alive.
The feels. I love how open Celine Dion is about this health journey that she's going through. And I'm also really excited that she's bringing so much awareness to stiff person syndrome, and especially to how it can affect the voice. I'm excited for there to be more vocal research and more treatment options available in the future. She's doing some amazing things, and I think she's such an incredible example of somebody who fights through an incredible challenge and is coming out on the other side now and saying, I'm back. I'm doing this. We are succeeding. It's amazing. It's so inspiring. If you want to see some more analysis of other inspiring videos, check this out over here. And may you fall more in love with music every day.